stopper with great skill from him to wing the Mo Salah! Raheem Sterling! What a finish! What pure class from the Englishman!
Premier Talk, the English Premier League podcast for the fans.
Hello and welcome back to the Premier Talk podcast. I'm one of your two hosts, as always, Andrew Mello. Alongside with me is my boy Danny B, Danny Barbudo. Daniel, season 3, episode 2. We're gonna call this one the Newcastle Takeover. It was a takeover indeed that happened today. Breaking news out of the Premier League. We'll get into that later in the episode. Daniel, how's it going?
I'm doing great, Andrew. I'm so excited for another episode. We got the Newcastle Takeover. Massive breaking news going on in the Premier League right now. It's going to be a good one as always, and I'm really excited. Let's get started.
All right, Daniel, let's go into the starting lineup.
Starting lineup to start us off, we're going to do our Matchday 7 rundown.
We got the Game of the Week recap.
Then we're going to look at our new little segment this week, Best Fantasy Players.
And then we're going to talk about that Newcastle Takeover. Daniel, Matchday 7 rundown, Saturday, October the 2nd. Why don't you kick us off with the segment?
Kicking us off, first game of the match day, Manchester United versus Everton. A massive game. Massive game for both clubs because both of them were going in tied on points, tied, I think, in the third and fourth spot. Both needed to pick up the 3 points. Ended up coming out with a draw 1-1. Was a fantastic game overall. Could have gone either way. And it was a great game. The second game on October 2nd was Burnley versus Norwich. This one ended in a 0-0 draw. Not much to look at here. The third game, Chelsea versus Southampton. Andrew, we got your Blues coming up. Massive 3 points, put them top of the table.
Yeah, this was an awkward one for Lukaku. Didn't get on the score sheet on this day. The real hero on this day was Timo Werner. It gets a lot of bad talk in the news. A lot of people like to troll him for all the misses. It was unfortunate. He scored a goal. It was offside. It was frustrating for him. Probably got him down in the confidence. But he really bounced back later on in the game and he got that deciding goal. That was the winning goal. And I think it was a top performance from the German international. And I think it was a performance that they would have loved to see out of him, especially when Lukaku, your main man, is performing. So it was a great effort. And this shows you how dangerous it could be in the depth that they got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this Chelsea team is looking great, currently sitting top of the table. The fourth game on Saturday, October 2nd, was Leeds versus Watford. This one ended with Leeds coming out 3 points over Watford. It was 1-0 to finish the game. Also on October 2nd, we got Wolves versus Newcastle. Wolves came out with a 2-1 win. Massive 3 points for Wolves because they weren't looking too healthy in this table. And they came out with 3 points over Newcastle. However, this Newcastle team might be changing very soon. Talk about that further in the episode. And the last game on Saturday was Brighton versus Arsenal. This one ended in a 0-0 draw. Arsenal actually looked pretty decent in this one. I can't lie to you. Still came out with the 1 point. I think if you're Arsenal, you were happy with the 1 point, but at the same time you weren't because they desperately needed that 1 point against a Brighton team who's higher up in the table. But they did dominate this game and could have easily have had the 3 points.
Daniel, this is a disappointment for Arsenal. I know Brighton's been playing top football this year. I think Trossard and Mopé have been a dangerous duo, and they got the shutout against them on this day. But I think Arsenal needed to build off that 3-0 win against Tottenham. I think that was a statement game for them, a statement game in the sense that they're back on the radar of everyone in the league. They need to be taken a little bit more seriously. And to tie against Brighton, it's not the best result. A point is a point. Yes, they need it. But they also lost 2 on this day, 2 more points. So I think that Arsenal would have loved to get the win against Brighton.
Moving on to Sunday, October 3rd, we got Crystal Palace and Leicester to kick us off. This was a pretty good game, actually. It finished in a 2-2 draw. Leicester, they're not looking too great on the table this year. Neither is Crystal Palace. I don't think many expected a lot of this game. However, pretty entertaining. You got a four-goal draw. Jeez. And it was a great game overall. Tottenham versus Aston Villa. Tottenham came out with a win, 2-1 in this one. Again, another fantastic game. Tottenham needing the points because they had just come off an Arsenal domination. I'm going to put it out there and say it was just an absolute Arsenal domination. So they're coming off a massive loss to Arsenal. So they needed the points. They picked up the 3 here and great to see from them. Second last game on Sunday was Brentford versus West Ham. Brentford, again, picking up the 3 points. I'm loving this Brentford team so far. Andrew, I don't know about you.
The bees are buzzing. Massive result for Brentford. my sleeper pick, my dark horse this year for the 2021-22 campaign. West Ham is the top side. We know that they give hard time to Manchester United a couple weeks ago. They were a top tier team last year. Um, so just massive result for Brentford, a newly promoted side that just showing how hungry they are, and they're extremely hungry. So there's gonna be a lot more difficult games for the teams they come up against because they're gonna want to prove that they belong here in this league.
Our last game on Sunday also happens to be our game of the week.
It was a banger of a game, Daniel. Banger.
Liverpool versus Manchester City. This one ending in a 2-2 draw. A fantastic game to watch. Fantastic game across the Premier League. I'm pretty sure there was eyes from all over, no matter what team you root for in this league. Everyone was watching this game. Andrew, why don't you kick us off our game of the week?
Daniel, if you were watching this game live, I feel bad for those that weren't watching, like we just mentioned. The first half, nothing really in terms of goals. It was still an entertaining match back and forth, but you could fast forward to the second half. The second half was where all the goals were, all 4 goals. Liverpool got on the board first there. It was a lovely finish from Sadio Mane. He's the best in the world, top player. And he just netted it brilliantly off of Mohamed Salah's assist. And then City, they came back later in the game. It was a Phil Foden goal. Nice little. He sort of worked the ball into the net from a tight angle. I think it was a difficult angle to score a goal, and I don't think Allison expected him to take a shot from that angle, but he did, and it went in. So he got the equalizing goal there in the 69th minute. And then, oh my gosh, the Egyptian king, Mo Salah, he was the man of the match by far. No doubt about it. He was phenomenal in this game. This was vintage Mo Salah from when they won the Premier League a couple years ago. Man, he went through 5 or 6 Manchester City players, just dribbled right through them, and he scored a brilliant cross net goal. No chance for Ederson. Ruben Dias was smacking the floor in frustration because there's not much you could do about it because he was just weaving his way in and out. A top tier goal, one of the best we'll probably see all season. And it was just a statement performance for Mohamed Salah, putting his name right up there among the world's best. I think he's one of the world's best. And then, unfortunately for Liverpool, though, KDB smacked in a shot. It was a deflection off Matip that went in the back of the net to make it 2-2. And you could just see how much that goal meant to Pep Guardiola. If you saw the live reaction of Pep on the sideline, he was jumping in the air because it was a massive goal. This was a hard-earned point. This is a point that either team would have wanted. Obviously, they would want to win, but a point against a top-tier side for both sides was really necessary on the state to keep themselves in the race at the top of the table. A loss for either team would have been massive. So it was a great match. Just that goal from Mohamed Salah, I'll say it again, left me speechless. It was just world class goal.
I have to touch on Salah quickly because as a United fan, I can't say this guy's the best in the world, but he's proving to be the best player in the Premier League. He is a fantastic player to watch. He's scary in front of goal. He dribbles phenomenally, as we saw against Manchester City. Like, I got these Liverpool fans coming up to me and they're like, oh, did you see Salah's goal? Yes, I saw it. It was a fantastic goal. He's the best player in the Prem. Like, I can't admit that to them. I can't say it to Liverpool fans' face that he's the best in the Prem. But he's looking like one of the top 2, top 3 players in the Premier League. He's unstoppable. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later. His fantasy points is off the charts compared to everybody else in this entire league. Not that we're just looking like that. Obviously, you can't just look at his goals and assists. You have to look at what he contributes to the team as a whole. But he's a phenomenal player. And he played absolutely amazing against Manchester City.
Bang. That's the game of the week. 2-2. Massive point for each side, like I said again. And Daniel, that brings us to our next segment. Like you just mentioned, the best fantasy players.
So our best fantasy players, this is a new one for you guys this year. We're going to talk about best since we missed the first couple of weeks, we're going to do a quick little recap here about who the best player is. And then deeper into the season, we might get who you should play or who you should bench against other teams, players that are doing well, players that might not be in the greatest form, who you should maybe bench.
Like who's a good waiver pick? That's something that we definitely want to talk about. Like,
of course,
you want to see you could bring it to the side that can, has a favorable matchup that week. That's stuff that we'll like to talk about. Sorry to cut you off there, Daniel, but just thought I'd add that.
Yeah, of course. And then, so we're going to start us off here with just 1 to 9. I think we got I'll do 1 to 10. We'll go 1 to 10. Best fantasy players so far. Starting off at 1, like I already said, we got Mohamed Salah at 70 points. He's clear of the competition. Nobody even comes anywhere near him. And second is Antonio, 49 points. So just showing there's a 21-point gap in between the best two attackers probably in form right now in the Premier League. Antonio, to start the season, he was ridiculous. He got player of the month in August. He was insane. Salah has just been steady as she goes every single game in the Premier League so far, showing why he's proving to be one of the best in this league. Falling in third, another attacker, Jamie Vardy. He is 1 point below Antonio, 48 points. And then we get a weird one here. We got a defender on this.
Not
I don't
weird
even
for
know.
me.
Joao
weird.
Cancelo, I know Andrew, he's a fantastic player. He's labeled as so here's the thing with this. This is going off the Premier League app / like their own fantasy. So there's a couple players that are going to be on this list that aren't necessarily in the right positions, in my opinion. But Joao Cancelo is a defender, but he has the skill of a midfielder. He can pass the ball, he can dribble the ball, he can do literally everything. So for me, even though he's labeled as a defender, he's fantastic and I expect him to get these amount of points. But he falls in fourth on this list with 44 points.
Daniel, it
And for
doesn't
me, that's
surprise me.
incredible.
Yeah, Daniel, it doesn't surprise me that he's there fourth on this list because he's the type of fullback. He's the type of modern day fullback that attacks the wings. He goes at defenders. He's not afraid to cross the ball in, be creative, show some skill. He's the type of guy to get goals too. He's got a great finishing ability when he's in front of the net. And it doesn't surprise me at all that he's there with 44 points on this list. He's a top tier defender. And as we know in fantasy, we love attacking defenders on our team. We don't want to have necessarily all center backs in our back line there because you want players that are to go up and score goals because the defender's goal accounts for a lot of points in fantasy. So amazing player to have in your fantasy if you're able to get him.
So continuing on with this list, we got fifth, another midfielder who kind of plays on the wing, kind of plays center attacking mid. Ben Rama with 44 points. He's been great this year. He's been a great leader on that West Ham side of his. He's doing fantastic this year.
Got him on my fantasy team too.
He's a great fantasy pickup. A lot of people expect him to fall a little bit low because a lot of people didn't know how he was going to do coming into this season. So a great pickup for those of you that have him in fantasy. Coming in sixth, I think this for me is a little bit of a surprising one, especially because he plays a little bit more defensive. Doucouré has 43 points. He's tied with Townsend, his teammate. Doucouré is great. I'm not going to say that he's not, it's just that he's more defensive and he's defensive mid. So you're not expecting him to get those goals or those assists, but he's been great this year. Alongside his midfielder, Townsend, who's tied with him at points, 43 points. Again, he's been steady this year. Everton's doing well. He's a big factor as to why they're doing well. Daniel, it's easy to see.
The disrespect shown to Ronaldo. Is this disrespect or respect shown to Ronaldo by Townsend doing the Selly, the Ronaldo Selly, this against
I
think in the moment it's disrespect, but I think
it's disrespectful.
I heard him talk after the game and he said he was just like inspired by the player that Ronaldo is and the stature of the player. So he kind of felt like honored. But in game, man, that's disrespect.
I think it was disrespectful when I was watching it. He did it and it looked like he was kind of mocking it. I know he did say after the game that it was out of respect. I don't like I don't think you should be doing other people's celebrations to begin with. And the fact that you're playing against this guy and you score on his team to tie the game up for 1-1 and then you go and you do his celebration, I think it's so disrespectful. And then even after the game, Townsend went up to Ronaldo and asked for his kit.
And he got it.
And Ronaldo,
he got it at the end.
He turned him away at first.
Yeah.
But then he did get it. And I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I think Ronaldo sent him one, but I don't think he gave him. Did he give him the game worn one that he was wearing?
He got game worn one. I saw an image of the game worn signed in the locker room after game. So
okay, so after the fact, but on the actual field, I think Ronaldo was a little bit kind of upset that he went and used that, but then he realized like after Townsend said that it was out of respect, he went into the change room, gave him a game worn jersey.
Daniel, I
didn't like it.
I love Ronaldo. Ronaldo. Look, I got the jersey up there. I love Ronaldo. But Daniel, I like when players do this. I like when players mock other players' celebration. It adds a little edge to the game, a little fire to the game, a little storyline to the game that you typically don't see. And how hilarious would it be for someone to go mock, I don't know, like Haaland's thing, which they did, and that was a big thing in the Champions League last year. I thought it was pretty funny too. So there's stuff like that. I think it adds a little fire to the game that we don't typically see, and I like it. I'm thumbs up on that.
I agree with you. I think that's not awful. I just didn't like that he asked for the kid after too. It's kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's like
If you're gonna go tease him like that, don't be begging him for his kid after. Yeah,
exactly
that's fine.
like yeah, that's what I didn't like about it. Moving on to eighth on the best fantasy players, you got Heung-min Son. Obviously, fantastic for Tottenham. He's just class every single year. He's sitting in eighth with 42 points. Here we go. This is where okay, so Heung-min Son is a mid labeled on the Premier League fantasy app. Mane as well is labeled as a mid here. So I know when you're choosing players, it's like you have to take a specific amount of defenders, specific amount of midfielders, specific number of attackers. This is where I'm not a big fan of the way this works because Mane's on a mid and he doesn't play midfield. He's a left winger. That's where he plays. He plays every single game. Sometimes he plays up top, but he's never played in the midfielder. Anyways, he has 41 points sitting on this list in ninth. And the 10th player, best fantasy player so far this year in 2021-2022 season, or 2021-2022 season is Gabriel Jesus with 41 points. Again, he's been great for City. He's doing what the striker should be doing.
I find that number impressive. The 41 points pretty impressive, just the fact that he doesn't start every week. And there's no competition in terms of the striking department there. They always play a false nine type of thing. So he's not getting his minutes, but he's done it in the limited time he's had. He's got 41 points. So I think that's incredible. He's a player I would typically stay away from in a fantasy, just at the fact that he's not starting every week in, week out. There's always rotation there. So 41 points is good, yes, but he might screw you over some weeks because he might not even get you any points because he's on the bench. So
yeah, I know City likes that. They don't really like play with a in and out striker. It's kind of weird that the way they do it. I didn't like the way that they did it last year in Champions League. I know Champions League they didn't play strikers at all, and then in the finals against Chelsea, they needed a number 9 to be pressing that back line, and they didn't have one.
no.
I'm not a fan of it. I know obviously it works for Pep because he's such a possession guru and everything. City doesn't score goals outside the box. I know the one this week that happened against Liverpool, it was a deflection, but their goals are all tiki taka inside the box, getting open, striking into bottom corners, tap ins, that kind of stuff. So they really don't need a number 9, but I like when somebody's pressing that back line. It causes the back line to make mistakes, and you just don't see that from City.
Daniel, Newcastle takeover. This was massive news today. Huge for the club, huge for the fans. So it was announced via Instagram. They announced it on their public website, but on via their Instagram, they stated that an investment group led by the Public Investment Fund has completed 100% acquisition of the club. So essentially, that's the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund. This is a lot of money we're seeing that will filter in through the club. Daniel, I just want to put some perspective on this financial takeover by the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund. The net worth of the owner is 320 billion pounds, Daniel. 320 billion pounds. Yes, you heard that number right. Just to put it in perspective, Manchester City's owner, Sheikh Mansour, his net worth is only 23 billion compared to the 320 billion of the new owners of Newcastle. Following him is Roman Abramovich of Chelsea, the owner of Chelsea, 10 billion pounds. Then we got Stan Kroenke of Arsenal, 7 billion pounds. And then we got the Man United Glazers with 4 billion pounds. Daniel, this is an outrageous net worth that they have at their disposal. This is groundbreaking for Newcastle at this point. I want to hear what you think about this. Just an interesting stat before I throw it off to you. The last cup Newcastle won was in 1955. That was the FA Cup final against Manchester City, another club taking over financially that's really grown due to the backing of their investors. If you want to count the 2006 Intertoto Cup, Newcastle won that, but the last official silverware is 1955. Daniel, I want to ask you now, with this new investment into the club, this new ownership of the Newcastle club, do you think that this is a new era for them? And what does this era look like?
It's definitely going to be a new era for Newcastle. I know looking at all over social media, so this is breaking. It just happened this morning. All over social media, people are going absolutely nuts. You got Newcastle fans were emerging out of the woodwork, out of everywhere. They're coming out of everywhere. On every single Instagram post, people were like, I'm a Newcastle fan now. Who's the best player? People who have never even looked at a soccer game ever in their entire life. They're Newcastle fans now, especially coming out of Saudi Arabia. It's scary to see. It's really scary. This 320 billion pounds that they're coming into the league with, that this public investment fund has, is more than 3/4 of every other Premier League team.
That's
It's
insane.
crazy.
That's
The
insane.
amount of money that this team has is nuts. They're going to be looking to sign every big signing ever. I know there's already memes coming out of every corner of the internet that has Messi, Ronaldo, Haaland, Mbappe, everybody in the kitchen sink on this Newcastle
Even
team.
even Santiago Munoz from the famous movie Goal, he's been linked to the club. So yeah,
Literally everyone, like it's crazy. It's gonna be scary. I have no clue what they're gonna do this with this amount of money. This amount of money is literally more than any set group of human beings even have. It's scary. And for this to be now in the Premier League, there's always been jokes around Manchester City, PSG, where's this oil money is all coming from, and the players that they're willing to buy with all this oil money. Now you got Saudi Arabian money coming into this league. If I'm them, I'm going after Haaland. I'm going after players who are absolutely massive, players who are worth tons, and
so
just
so Daniel,
willing.
that I just want to know now. You said Haaland, you'd bring in Haaland. What are
Mhm.
three players right now that you would bring in if you had? Okay, they're obviously probably gonna bring in more than three, but if you're gonna bring in three top tier guys, I want to hear who those three top tier guys are.
Okay, Haaland's obviously the first one
Yeah,
because he's worth. I think his new market evaluation is like somewhere near 180 million pounds. I think they're gonna have to pay way more than that, somewhere upwards of like 250 to 300 mil for Haaland. He's a great young talent. He's probably gonna be one of the best in the world. He already is showing he's the greatest youngster in the world. I think he's the first on your list. I know he wants to come to the Premier League because his dad did play for Manchester City in the Premier League. I think he wanted to come to Manchester City. That's where he said he was destined to be. But if he wants to play in the Premier League and you want to start an absolute dynasty with this Newcastle team, that's the team to go to right now. Second player, I would go in straight away Mbappe, but I think Mbappe is already he has blinders on right now just to
for
go to
Real
Madrid.
Madrid.
He doesn't want
Yeah,
to go. He doesn't want to go anywhere else except for Madrid. I think no matter the amount of money that they offer him, he's going straight to Madrid. I know there's already memes of like Messi and Ronaldo and stuff like
no
that.
chance, no chance.
Not a chance. I don't think like Messi has a 2-year contract to PSG. I think he wants to return to back to Barcelona at the end of his 2 year if he continues to play. I think Ronaldo, again, he also has 2 years, I believe, at Manchester United. Who knows where he's going to go after that? He's already high up. I think he's what is he, 35, 36 now? So he doesn't really have that much time left, although he is the most fit human being on this planet. So who knows how long he'll be playing. I don't know. This is like you can sign anybody in the world. They literally just have to
Yeah,
find players that are willing to transfer and they can pay them so a player can come in and just request an absurd amount of money and they'll give it to them. Like
yeah.
I really money isn't like it's nothing to them. It's just like it's
It's not a
pocket
factor.
change.
It's not a factor. Yeah.
It isn't. And it's scary because like I don't know, what are some other like really young players that are worth insane amount of money? I know from Barcelona you got Pedri and Fati. Both of them have their contracts ending next year. Both of them are worth upwards of 100 million pounds right now. You can go and offer Barcelona 150, 200 million pounds because again, money isn't an object, and just give them 15, 20, 30 million pounds a year, like whatever, however much money they want, they'll give it to them. So yeah, it's going to be crazy to see. I'm going to flip the question to you. Who do you think? I know I mentioned Haaland, Pedri, Fati. Those are just Patti. Oh my God. Pedri and Fati were off the top of my head. But what, who other than Haaland, because you're probably going to say Haaland as well, who other than Haaland would you sign if you're this
I
Newcastle
was
team?
gonna literally say Haaland, Pedri. I was gonna say Fati. I was gonna say Haaland, Pedri, and I was say go for a double Dortmund. So I go for Bellingham as well. So I go for
Bellingham? Mhm.
Bellingham. I think that it'd be really cool to see. I don't know. I feel like you could swoop someone from Bayern like a Goretzka or would be
Mhm.
cool to see in the Prem. I think he would really his playing style like would be perfect for the Prem. Like I don't think he'd have to adapt much. I think a guy like Kingsley Coleman would be another electric winger that'd be awesome. And maybe his fellow Frenchman Saint Maxime could bring him in. That'd be cool.
Mhm. Maybe
Maybe
even Pogba.
yeah, maybe even Pogba or I see like a guy like maybe it's he's he's really been there for years, but maybe it'd be cool for Benzema to come over and see the Premier League because he's never done that in his career. That'd be pretty cool to see. Guys like that would be pretty cool. I don't know if you'd see guys like Pedri wanting to come over. I don't know if you see those younger guys interested in making a name for themselves come over. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I'm really excited to figure out who they're gonna bring in because obviously they're gonna revamp the squad. They have some decent players that I think could still fit in, like Alain Maxime. I think that their goalie's decent. I don't think they would have to go get anyone. Dubravka is pretty solid.
It's pretty solid.
I like some players on that team. I think Almiron would be really cool to build around. So there's certain guys there that they have. Joe Willock. So some of those guys would stay, but I think they would revamp a lot of players and bring in a lot of new guys. And I think that from the next, I don't think as soon as next year they're going to be a really competitive team. I think it's going to take 3 or 4 years to build this team. So
Mhm.
I say 3 or 4 years from now they're going to be a top tier Premier League side, and that's because they have the financial backing. And
Mhm.
I think that for this fan base, who's had to endure so much, they haven't won since 1955. Like I said before, they deserve it, Daniel. This is a devoted fan base up in Newcastle. They love the game. They've always stuck by their side, even though they've stunk for years. They've tried to avoid relegation year after year. They've been a lower table side, Daniel. It's nothing much has changed for them, and I'm so happy that it's Newcastle because they're a historic club with an amazing fan base, a legendary stadium, and it's just all the pieces are fitting. We heard this happen so long ago, the early rumors of the takeover, and now it's actually happened, and they're out celebrating today. It shows you how much it means to them, and
Mhm.
maybe they'll be the next Manchester City. I think it's very likely that that's the case. My only one concern about this is another power being the money that they have behind them now. Is this going to lead to another renegotiation of the Super League now that we have another giant in the Premier League? This is something that I fear as a football fan, a fan of the smaller teams really making a name for themselves by finding the right guys, building up the team and stuff. So
Mhm.
I think this is something that we should be concerned about, just the money aspect. Are they going to want to form the Super League? It's another giant, right? That's being built. So
Mhm.
that's my only concern with this. But I'm very happy for Newcastle, and I think that this can make the Premier League even more exciting, getting another big team. So we roughly have like 7 to 8 really strong teams in the Premier
Mhm.
League. All the teams in the Premier League give a good challenge week in, week out, but we got 7 to 8 giants now in the Premier League with Newcastle if they were to slowly build themselves up, and I think they will be, like I said, 3 to 4 years. So
Mhm.
um, it's just nuts. This is nuts for football, and it just makes me wonder. Um, Imagine this happened to my club, the club that I love, like a Benfica. Imagine if someone, Benfica is owned by the fans. Technically, it's
Mhm.
supposed to be there's a president and whatnot, but imagine if someone's to take over Benfica. I'm just thinking, like, how different would the team look?
Mhm.
Would we lose a bit of our club, a bit of our, because it's a bit of your clubs, right? The foundation that your club's built upon, right? So
Mhm.
um, that those are things that I like to think about, and it's just interesting to think about. Imagine if your team was to be swooped up, uh, 320 billion backing. Imagine that. That's just crazy. It's insane.
I like how you talked about 3 to 4 years. You think this club's going to be good? That was going to be the next question I was going to ask. How long do you think this team
It's not
will
going to be
take to
immediate.
dominate?
It's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be this season.
Yeah.
It won't be next season. I think they'll start bringing in guys next season and maybe in January this year. Not
Mhm.
those big name guys, but I think you're going to start to see Newcastle fans get some new signings, and they've been very frustrated over the last couple of years. I know when Rafa Benitez was there, they wanted to bring in some guys, and Rafa didn't want to, and also the club didn't allow him to.
Mhm.
So they've been really struggling to bring in players and at the deadline days. So I think this is a new era for them that the fans will be very, very, very excited about because you're going to see a lot of new faces playing in their classic black and white
Mhm.
kits.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I think 3 to 4 years is a good time to estimate. That's you got about five, six transfer, six. No, you got 8 transfer windows. 6 to 8 transfer windows is in the next 7 to 8 years, or sorry, 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Um, it's plenty of time for them to go grow a squad. Obviously, you can't just go around just picking up the best players in the world. You got to slowly develop them because they need to develop chemistry with each other. They got to fit into this squad that already exists. It's going to take longer than just. I don't think anybody really expects them to just come next year and just go out and compete with the top teams in the Premier League. But slowly and surely, they're going to become a dominating force if this money is allocated towards the right places. That's a big if, because sometimes with all this money, you might just be throwing this money out at middle tier players. So who knows? The next thing I wanted to talk about was how you mentioned the Super League. And that's another scary site because that league was literally just made up on money. That's all he wanted. And now with massive amounts of money coming in through Newcastle, can they pick up where they left off and try to go at another Super League again?
I
Who
think we'll see
knows?
it, Daniel. I think we'll see it. I think definitely we'll see it. I think there'll be